Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Maych TV. So Liverpool beat Leicester 3-0 at the weekend, and Jurgen Klopp, instead of extolling the virtues of the depth of his squad and talking about the quality of character, etc., that he has prevalent in seemingly all levels of the football club at this point, from amateurs and youth players coming through to obviously the senior players as well, he chose to use a 4.5-ish minute interview with Geoff Shreeves to rail and rally against Sky, BT and their contracts, which are beholding football clubs to schedules that don't necessarily support healthy, fit football players. Good on you, Jurgen. Someone's got to come out and say it. Someone's got to add their voice to this. And yet, in addition to the likes of Solskjaer coming out and say it, we've seen a couple of other managers saying similar things. Jurgen Klopp has decided enough's enough, and when he has a problem with these things, he does often speak out. Will anything happen off the back of it? Yeah, time's going to tell on that, but let's talk about some of the ins and outs of all this. But in a moment, we'll do that. First, I want to tell you about OneFootball, the fantastic app that's sponsoring the channel and has supported me through a very, very tough period around football and the world indeed. It has everything you need to support your football club and gain a wider understanding of what's happening, not just in the Premier League, but in world footy as well. It's got match day centres, it's got articles, it's got news. Everything you need to know about your club and the wider footballing world is all in one place in the OneFootball app. I'll put a link in the description underneath. Go and download it, and obviously let me know how you're getting on with it in the comments section underneath as well. Yes. So Jurgen Klopp chose that moment. It's funny because it's not been widely broadcast, and what I really like about this, in a really sort of perverse way, the inner cynic in me is like, yes, Sky, just like, get him off. Poor old Geoff Shreeves had to swallow it and face up to be the face of the British Sky Broadcasting Corporation. He was basically Murdoch for a couple of minutes there, and he did admirably, all told. But no, it's interesting. It's an interesting conversation, because we're seeing it. And if you're a Liverpool fan, most people watching the channel will be, of course, the injury troubles that Liverpool are going through, and it's something that you'll feel more deeply about, certainly, than if you support a football club that isn't having a major injury crisis, because that's just the way it goes. We tend to look at the problems that are directly in front of us. Does it directly impact us? Is it having a negative impact on us? Yes. Okay, then we'll take up arms over it. If it's not, then kind of whatever, because particularly with football, because the tribalism exists in a wider sense, what we really tend to have is, if you really, really hate Liverpool, you've been made up for a situation that's going to cause Liverpool to have lots of injury problems. And we have this conversation when like a major player goes injured. We try not to say like we're happy to see a footballer be injured, because that would make us really bad human beings. But deep down, there's a little part when a rival loses a big star that does make you think, oh, that's good, because it would be good for the chances of my team being more successful off the back of it. Does that make us bad human beings? Yes, it makes us terrible human beings, but unfortunately we're all terrible human beings in our own little unique ways. The thing that undermines the argument and Jurgen Klopp's point straight out the door, straight off the bat, is whataboutism. And whataboutism is the thing that's plaguing our society, and it has done in the Trump era. That immediately Klopp comes out, and nobody wants to hear that Liverpool are struggling, or someone from Liverpool has got problems with struggling, because as much as Klopp goes to great lengths to say this isn't a Liverpool problem exclusively, this is a football problem, people will still go, that's Jurgen Klopp moaning about Liverpool. Oh, those bloody rich athletes moaning about having to play a game that we all love for a living. What absolute pricks. Because of course they got loads of money, so that makes them resistant to physical injury. Yeah, I mean, fucking hell, they might be rich, but they're not from Krypton. They're human beings at the end of the day. They're very, very gifted. They are very physically resilient human beings, and they have some of the best medical facilities around them. I would tend to say, if people who've got all those things going for them are struggling, then there's probably a problem. This is not you and me collapsing because we've just played a game of five-a-side and then didn't do our stretches. This is people with like genius PhDs surrounding them, keeping them in the top of physical condition, and now we're seeing them all starting to collapse given the pressures of a truncated Premier League schedule, and that someone's having the temerity, the audacity to put their hand up and say, hang on, can we do something about this? Everyone's going, nah, bollocks, I'd love to play a bit of footy. You can't even touch your toes after doing fucking 20 keepy ups in the garden with your kids. So don't talk to me about not being able to play 3 90-minute games of football in 7 days without picking up a little bit of a hampering injury along the way.
But what about bloody Jurgen? What about League One? Oh, look at how difficult it is down in League One. You have to fight in mud and blood.
Fucking shut up. Just shut up. We know it's different. It's a different world, and it's sorry that it's not the same world and all that. Doesn't make it not a problem because other people might have a different set of circumstances that makes their life difficult. Let's try and stick to one issue and see if we can solve it. If we're in agreement that there is a problem with footballers being slightly overworked and gaining a number of injuries, it's been a problem that's been happening for a while, but it is so obviously happening right now up and down the league around world football that, yeah, let's give it a little bit more attention. Yeah, let's start with that. The issue we've got is, and I think it's the illusion of rigidity. So Jurgen Klopp says, it's these contracts. People say to me, these contracts one more time, I'm basically going to lose it. And this is the thing, is what you've got is people have decided that the league needs to be a certain way. Football needs to be structured. And what they've done is they've gone, right, last season was an absolute, it was just a disaster. We missed 3 months of the season. We had to truncate it. We had to, extend it. We had to do all these things. What do? Do we take a wider, broader look at how the global game is played and basically put some real thought through scientific structure in place that basically helps maintain the game and maintain the health of the football players? Or, and bear with me on this one, do we just fucking fly through the season by any means necessary? Just get it out the way, get as much money as we can, and then that means next season we'll be fine. Next season we'll be back to normal by next season. Yeah, the problem we've got and what this exposes, and again, it's something that we've known for a long time, but it's blown it up large in front of our very eyes. Shock horror, football is more asked about money than it is about the science behind the game. And I think a lot of this is kind of like, rooted in the dark ages of a lot of football. It's rooted in Keys and Gray and all these ex-footballers who used to run through brick walls and eat steak dinners and, and still win silverware at the weekend, having had a 3-way, in the build-up and a double vodka and orange or whatever as a pre-match warm-up. It's not that anymore. It's not, we're genuinely dealing with athletes. No one criticises, no one sees professional cyclists, and they can't do proper running because their muscles need to be attuned to riding a bike. It's a completely different muscle base to what you would use to be able to run down the street or kick a football, and no one has a go at them and go, well, you should really just go out and have a big fry up instead. People are forgiving of athletes having to have really strict fitness regimes and lives and stuff, whereas it doesn't apply to footy because you've played footy and you've played a game of Sunday League, and therefore it makes you an absolute fucking, because it's the same thing. It's basically the same thing. Hey, I've been a career off it. I know as much as anyone. One of the main issues you've got is who speaks out for this. The clubs need to earn money, so they're not going to necessarily, because they just want to, the money men of clubs just want to keep the clubs running. So they've got issues. So they're looking for solutions to how do we keep the lights on, how do we keep the doors open, and the solution for football to do that is to play football, because your sponsorships are worth something, you can advertise around it, you can do all your bits and pieces. So I get that. The players can't speak out about it because of, look, there's this pressure that exists that I've talked about already, that you're very privileged to be able to play football. And also, you probably really like football if you're a professional footballer. You actually just want to play the game. And also, you've got the toxic masculinity that surrounds all of it as well, as you need to be this superman. I think about Raheem Sterling being absolutely lambasted because he said he was a bit tired a few years ago when he's a Liverpool player. I was like, I was tired. You don't know what tired is, son. You don't know what tired is. I worked a shift in a mine. By comparison, but again, whataboutism, it's a problem that means footballers can't readily speak out. I'm not saying I'm not going to play for my international team, I'm not going to play for my country. If an England player said they weren't going to play for England because they felt their fitness would be an issue, I mean, fucking hell. Can you just there's just no way you get away with it, is there? The thing is, again, footballers will just play. Footballers will just want to play footy, so they'll play footy if it's available for us. But the thing is, my kids want to eat sweets 3 meals a day, and they would, left unchecked, They would, but someone needs to stand up for them and say, no, actually, that's not right. That's not healthy for you to eat sweets 3 times a day. Someone has to be the grown-up here. So really, for me, it falls upon the managers. Like, the FAs aren't going to do it because they're in the same boat as club owners. They just need to keep the lights on. They need to earn money. They've got pressures from sponsors and all those kind of things. So they're a wider, broader version of what we're seeing at club level. Players can't do it from the underside. Fans are struggling to put a coherent voice together because, let's be honest, we're in lockdown. We're in a shitty life. We just want to have a bit of escapism. We just want to get back in the grounds. That's all our focus on. How do we engineer a situation where we're back watching footy again? We're not even thinking at this point about what the quality of football is going to be like if and when we're able to do that. So we can't really organise and rally in the place of the football clubs and the fans and whatever. So the managers are going to have to speak out and look, here's a shocking idea. Here's a shocker for you. Rather than let money dictate how football goes, why not let science? Why not analyse?
With science.
Just look, here's what's possible. Here's what's possible, here's what's not possible, and determine the structure of football moving forward for that. And I know it might mean the Euros gets moved or next season gets moved on and we're entering into a world. It's not how we normally have it. Maybe we haven't got football next festive period. Maybe we don't start next season until January. It'd be weird. But if it means that we're able to put professional footballers out on the pitch and we're able to avoid a major disaster, maybe these intractables need to be slightly less intractable, because at the moment the only tractable thing in football is the footballers. They are the soft, fleshy things that are being run through the gears of the mega money making machine that is football right now, and they're never going to come out well from that. Football wants more and more and more and more, and it's wanting more and more and more and more, and now it's compacting the timeline in which it wants all this stuff. This is all happening because they won't move the Euros, because they've moved it once. It can't happen again. Of course it can. You move the Euros. It needs conversations. It needs intelligent conversations. It needs lots and lots of thought and planning gone in. But something... all the solutions on the table are like the cough medicine for a chest infection. The plasters for a wound that needs stitches. They are paracetamol for a fucking brain tumour. There's major things wrong with football, and it's been exacerbated and compacted into this pressure cooker situation where the only thing that's going to end up fucked, and the only thing that can really end up fucked, is the players. If the players go down, the product suffers, and then we're left with long-term problems. And all football clubs are left with long-term problems, and the health, mental health and physical health of these players is suffering. And I know it's hard to feel sympathy for people who are so much richer than us, so much richer. They should be able to sort it out themselves, but also, we've got to actually think of people as human beings sometimes, and not machines. They're not machines. Football acts like a machine, but it's not a machine. All of these things are pliable. It takes bold thinking, it takes brave thinking. It's going to take something a little bit outside the box to make something different happen, to find a working solution. But they need to stop thinking, for me, stop thinking that football's going to begin again in August for the 21-22 season and everything will be fine. It's what's left. What are the pieces left of the players? What are the pieces left of the football clubs if we end up in that situation? And the idea that the Euros is the be all and end all, it's not. Just it needs bigger thinking, and it needs to be analysed with science.
Analyze it with science.
I'm gonna flip to see if I get to kill you first.
Science, just thought, thinking, people who actually understand what is possible and what's not possible, not just saying it has to be done this way, do it this way or die, which is kind of what they're doing at the moment, and it's only going to lead to things being a bit shit. But the managers need to rally. It can't just be Klopp, it can't just be Pep, it can't just be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Everyone in the league needs to get on board with this, and yes, it might mean that spreading things out means that, yes, look, the richer, more successful football clubs are going to have an advantage in any situation, by the way. So whether it's compacted or it's spread out, bigger, richer, historically more successful clubs are always going to have an advantage over smaller clubs. But I think there's a little bit of this notion that people are just seeing it as their opportunities. They're looking at how they can capitalise on the misfortune of others and how that will benefit them, not necessarily looking at the wider picture and how you make sure that football is the best that football can be. We all want to see good football ultimately, and I think the short-lived drama of this loads of injuries, I think will run very, very dry when lower league teams and when teams that haven't got European ambitions start to fall apart, and when, lo and behold, all of England's best players are absolutely fucked, and then all of a sudden people go, oh, well, that's a problem. We should probably have done something about that. Yeah, you know what? How's about we just tackle it now rather than worry about picking the pieces up after the fact? Yeah, I think so. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do go and download the One Football app. It is fantastic. It is an essential part of my daily and weekly routine. Not just a football fan, but as a football broadcaster as well. These sweatshirts are available on the Red Men TV shop. They're amazing. UK delivery is still available, guaranteed for Christmas for a few more weeks, I think, but international delivery ends on the 24th. So if you're watching this video before then, do get involved. Have a little mooch around there. I'll put that link underneath as well. Obviously, just check out the Red Men TV Twitter. But that's me. Thank you. Have an amazing afternoon. Let's have a bit of chat in the comments and all that good stuff. And I'll see you all very soon.